So I had a really interesting week this week with what it seemed like every student wanting to improve their driver. They found, I had some students slicing it, I had some students hooking it. I had other students that were making really inconsistent contact. They would top it along the ground and then every so often would hit a really, really good one. Everyone wanted to hit, as you can imagine, the ball further. Now, what was interesting is they all had very different golf swings. However, they did have one thing in common. None of them understood the concept I'm about to share with you in this video. But once they did, two things started to happen. The first, they started to hit driver straighter. That was the first tick in the box. No point trying to hit the ball longer until you hit it straighter. Once we got them hitting it straighter, I then gave them a drill, which I'll share with you also in this video, of how they can start to increase their club head speed so they can start to ramp up that yardage. Super, super simple. Can't wait to share it with you. Now, before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first lessons of mine, please consider subscribing. I release videos just like this one every single week to try and help you improve your game. Plus, you never have to remember a thing. I'll always put a free download or practice guide in that description box below. So I'd really love to help you to become a great driver of the golf ball. And to do that, I'm going to basically give you exactly what I gave them. I'll show you the concept of hitting a driver first. I think it's super important to understand. It really helped them. It gives them a lot of aha moments. And then I'll give you a drill on basically showing them how they generated consistency and how they ramped up their power. So I've got a hula hoop here. I just want to show you a couple of things. So the first thing is if in an ideal world, we would literally swing the club basically like this, like a pendulum, because actually this is the most accurate way of hitting any form of ball. But the problem is it doesn't go very far. We need some form of kind of power. And we need what's called angular momentum. So we swing the club not like this, we swing it on an angle. Very much like if you imagine a speedboat, basically carrying a water skier. The speedboat comes around the corner on an angle, the water skier is behind, and as the speedboat turns the corner, the water skier is actually propelled and catapulted around the corner, and that's what generates the power. So we play golf for that reason on an angle. Now what that basically means is as we set up to the golf ball here, the club, as we take the club back, the club works inwards and upwards, and on the way down, look, it works downwards, outwards to the right, and once it gets to its lowest point, it then starts to work back to the target. So this is where it's absolutely the dead straight, the lowest point of the circle. Once it gets to the lowest point of the circle, where's it going to go? It works back inwards and upwards, so it's constantly working, look, on an arc. Therefore, there is one thing that you must control if you want to be a great driver of the golf ball, and that is the low point of your arc. Now, your low point in your golf swing, whether it's a driver or an iron, is directly in the middle of your lead shoulder here, where the lead arm and club form a straight line. That is the point when the club gets to its longest, and therefore the lowest point in your swing. Your ability to control that will determine how consistent you are. Now, the players were very, very different, but they all couldn't control the low point. Let me show you here. So if I'm here, this is the low point of my swing right there at the bottom of the arc. Now, if I move this hula hoop and I move the low point over here, right? So I'm coming down now. I've shifted my body too much over here. I haven't got it back to the golf ball. Where's the club now starting to head? As it hits the low point, where's it going to head now? Left of target. Add an open face to this and you have a great big booming slice. That was your slices. I then had people struggling to hit the ball up in the air. Why? Because what they did is they had the low point here, and then what they did during the swing, they kind of in a sense shifted it so far forward that now suddenly the club's actually heading out to the right as it hits the golf ball, has no loft on the club head, and the ball goes along the ground. So knowing that the club swings on an arc, really, really important, because you then start to be more inclined to really control that low point of your swing. So that was step number one. How do we help a player, kind of learn and feel low point? So all I did was grab an old box, not dissimilar to this one, because I think stuff like this basically makes it so much easier for you to feel what to do. I hate giving people too many words. I think words kind of get lost in translation too many times, and I love drills like this because you can try this at home right now and immediately feel what I'm talking about. So low point, I'm going to line up this box here, the lead edge of this box, right up with my lead heel here. Now what I said to the players was I said, look, you should be able here, I'll put that right there, you should be able to see half the ball on this side of the box. And the idea is here, when we strike, when we make a swing, I want you to make some movements. I want you to bring the club head and the shaft all the way back to this box like this. So it's completely flat. That's it. They all were different. Some did this. And when they arrived back, they realized their head got back to the golf ball, but the shaft was off. They was like, oh my God. So they had to work out a way to get that shaft completely back to here. So they learned to feel impact. I said to them, you must still be able to see the ball. Some of them moved their low point so far this way, I can't even see the ball now. That was a really big one for a lot of them. That's why they couldn't get any launch. They couldn't hit it very far. Suddenly, they said to me, Danny, it really feels like my head now is so far this side. It's not there, but it feels like it, doesn't it? So suddenly now they were training this motion of this is impact. And impact's here, look. My hips are forward here. My body's turning in here. I've now got impact. I've got the lowest point of my golf swing intact. Lead shoulders intact, everything in place. I'm training this simple feel. Some people would do this where they would leave too much with the shaft. Again, that's just going to send the ball out to the right. So it's just a brilliant way to train the feeling of where you need to get to. You're going to get different things from it. Body positions, you're going to feel where your head needs to be. There's loads of things that you're going to get from it. So the first thing we did from there was really, really simple. I said, right, let's start off, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a golf swing, and we're going to start with what we call a very neutral standard ball position. We're going to put the ball position right at the base of our low point. So we don't want to hit up on the ball, we don't want to hit down on the ball, we want to hit it right at the base. This is the straightest way to hit driver, okay? So we got ourselves set here, and I said, listen, do a few rehearsals where ultimately what you do is you rehearse this motion here. So you kind of imagine the box in front of you here, you make a few swings, and you get that sensation. Straight away, a few of them were going, oh my God, I feel like I want to do this, but it's now, yes, that's how you present and the correct amount of loft on the ball. No, yes. And some of the others didn't realize that we're moving off the golf ball, and they realized that would be very difficult to time. So now suddenly they start to turn and then come back into the golf ball, right? So you train that initially, right? Let's do this first. I hit a gentle shot to start with. So I've got myself, there's my low point. Let's have a look at this. But a little bit left, I felt that. First was a little bit close on that one. But look at that there. So my low point's just a fraction behind that golf ball. But again, we'll take that, right? So that was the first starting point, right? Now I gave them 10 or 15 minutes to really get a feel for this. We alternated between the box. I said alternate between the box and then come back so you really generate that feel. I then said, right, now let's start to gradually really start to kind of ramp up a little bit of power, right? There's one other thing in a second I'll go into about ball position, but we'll cover that in a minute. Now, all I then said to them, right, now you've got an idea where low point is, where ultimately the full shaft, not just the head, not the body, the whole shaft goes onto that golf ball there, right? Onto that box. So how do you then start to add some power to this? Well, we dispelled one myth straight away. A lot of them were trying to rotate through the impact area. And I said to them, don't do that. Look at this. You've just got the box there. Now, if you want to create room, simply just push backwards. Just push from here. I've got my weight on my left leg. I'm going to push straight back. So I'm taking my back side like this. Look at this here, look. I've got my weight on my left leg here, and I'm just going to push straight back. It's a straight line backwards. What this does is create room, look, to accelerate that club through impact. Most of them were doing this. What does that do? Shift the low point where? Backwards. But I want to keep the low point intact. So once I'm here, look, and I've got my weight there, my low point's in a great place. I want to now push backwards. I want to maintain that low point. I don't want to be turning. And this is the optical illusion you see with a lot of players. They often get to here, they turn their hips. So all I said is, again, start small. Let's get a feeling of this. So we start small, just doing this, and just imagine here, look, just push back and time that motion. You did another thing. As I'm swinging down now, notice this. all great players, when they come down, they start naturally on their left leg, the lead leg here. This is where you start the downswing. It's what helps you look, catapult the club. I'm using my leg to power through. People who struggle with distance and accuracy with driver, they're on their back leg here, and they are on the way down, they're moving on to their front leg as they're starting down. This is just a huge, huge loss of power, right? So as we're controlling low point and just doing this simple drill here, it kills so many birds with just one simple stone here. Bang! We're controlling low point and we're controlling that acceleration. So let's have a look at this in action. I'll gradually ramp it up a little bit now. So all I'm going to do is I'm keeping my low point intact here. I'm imagining that box, but I'm imagining the club accelerating by me using my left leg to push backwards, push my hip backwards and out of the way. So it looks like I'm rotating, but all I'm really doing is this, okay? Let's have a look at this. So that's pretty straightforward, yeah. So ultimately, once you start to kind of accelerate this golf club, you'll really start to kind of ramp up the power. Now, what we did with the players is everyone was different abilities. Some would hit it longer than others, but we gave them a routine. So one of the things I did was this, and you could do this the same. So when you hold a driver, hold it up in front of you here, let it just relax so your arms just rest on your chest. What this does is it makes sure that you don't get too kind of left shoulder down or way excess. Some people have been trying to hit up on the ball, so they start leaning way back like this. Just let those forearms start to level off a little bit. At least get this lead forearm and troller forearm almost level. Just relax like this. Once you've done that, then what I want you to do is start to kind of continue this routine so you can take it to the golf course. So now, the players that I were teaching, they had all very different abilities. So we changed ball positions for each one of them. I'll go into that in a second. But once you've got this kind of really relaxed position here, simply drop the club down on the ground to the side of the golf ball. And when you make a few swings, you now, in a sense, first of all, make them, in a sense, just imagine that full shaft returning back to that box. Feel where that impact is there. Know where their head is. You won't be able to see the back of the ball there. Now you can see the back of the ball. Kind of get that sensation. Once you've done that once or twice, just imagine now accelerating it. Notice this, no turning. All I'm doing here is feeling my left leg pushing my hip backwards to accelerate the club. And that creates what you'll feel looks like a turn, but it's not really. It is a turn, but it's an optical illusion. This is creating room for me, look, to accelerate and catapult that club through impact. So we've done that, so that's your routine. Now I did change the ball position for each and every one of them because some of them just couldn't launch it up in the air. So if you want to, and they weren't hitting very fast. So once we've done a little bit of acceleration, that increases distance, but they wanted to get more elevation. Now, to do that, the easiest way to do it is by pushing the ball further forward in your stance. But there's a problem when you push the ball. It's not really a problem, it's something to be aware of. If you push the ball further forward ahead of your low point, where's the club going to head? It's going to head where? Left of target. Now, I haven't got a problem with that. This is going to lead to a bit of a pull shot, but as long as you understand what's happening, it's just a great way of increasing your distance. A lot of people miss this, don't understand it. So this is my low point here underneath my lead shoulder. I'm going to move my stance now so the ball is almost opposite my little toe. Now, this is where the routine comes in. I'm bringing my club down straight here. Most people don't. If the ball's too far forward, they will go and reach it. That would be a disaster. All I'm going to do is settle myself down like this, put the club, leave it a good 6 inches behind the golf ball. I know now my low point, just as before, is just there. There's my box. I know then when that club comes around the corner, the club is going to be working where? Upwards and inwards. So I know that the ball's going to set off slightly left of target with a little bit, but a lot more height and hopefully a lot more distance for you, right? So for you anyway, watch this. So the ball sets off, look, a little bit left of target, club path's a little bit left, low point slightly behind the golf ball, but we're talking little bits. It's going to give me that extra bit of elevation. That for you is what's going to help you with those extra yards if you really struggle to get that launch. You just need to be prepared. It's okay for that ball to set off left. Now if you do this and the ball starts to pull a little bit, all you do is open the club face just a little bit. And what that'll do is it'll send a little ball set off slightly left, but it'll fade beautifully. But let's show you, beautifully back to the middle of the fairway. So this is how I would play a real simple fade. If I want to hit a lovely high fade, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that routine, soften my arms here, put the ball outside of just on my little toe of my big foot here. And all I'm going to do now here is this. I'm going to set the face just a fraction open. So when that club path comes left to target, the face is slightly open. It's going to get that lovely cut back into the middle of the fairway. Look at this in action. That should be a little bit higher. There we go. Lovely strike. Club path left to target, face slightly open to the target, and that's the one that gives me a little bit of a fade. It's one of my little fairway finders. I really love that one. So that is how you start to control the low point of your swing. Ultimately, get the feeling first of all of that full shaft on that ball. Use a box so you can kind of understand where the body needs to be. So good. Then learn to accelerate that golf club. Kind of get a feel. So it's not just a static motion. That's how I accelerate. I just simply weights here, push back. Why is this so good? Because it kills lots of birds with one stone. Most people are starting a downswing, accelerating from the wrong foot like this. You learn this feeling, you're already telling yourself, this is where I need to be, right? Super simple. And then vary your ball position. High swing speed players, I often recommend them just catching the ball right at the base at low point. That is the straightest way of hitting a golf shot, if you catch it right at the bottom of the arc. But a lot of people can't do that. They don't have enough clubhead speed. So I'll push the ball further forward of that. You just got to be aware when you push the ball almost on your little toe here, you are going to hit the ball slightly higher. You're going to hit it longer, but the ball is likely to start to set off a little bit left of target. And that's absolutely fine. Hitting these little pulls, just be aware of that. When you do it, remember not to go and reach for it. You start here and you push your body this way to reach for it. You don't reach for it this way. That would be a disaster. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with somebody who you know is struggling with driver. Super simple, this one. Look, I'll put, I did a very similar video for the irons. If you want to understand the difference between irons and driver, super important, check this video out right here. Of course, look, if you're new to the channel, come and join the community. I release videos like this every single week by pressing the subscribe button down here. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.